happening? And we're back. I hope everybody's well. Yes, for those about to learn, we salute you. Absolutely. This is like, yo, it's like motherfucking PBS. Welcome to PBS. What's up, John? What's happening in the UK, man? Is everything okay in the UK? Yeah. And we're back. What can I say? Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I enjoyed that last show with Johnny Paisano and Robbie from The Exploited. That was great. That was a really good one. Yo, Rich Zola, what's up? Robert Hogg, what's happening in Scotland? Jose, Kenny Clark, what's happening on the West Coast? Yo, Matt Melnick. Of course, Matt Melnick. Hey, we got something heavy for you today, Matt. Got some of that heavy stuff for you, man. All right? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. You know? What else? Oh, Petunia in Ohio. Where in Ohio are you? Would that be Youngstown? Are you in Youngstown? Columbus, perhaps? Kevin's your bro. All right. Okay. Not mad at you. No. I got it right off the bat. You're in Youngstown? Yeah, Grindfest. Here we go. Welcome to the Grindfest. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the machine. Kreuzberg. Kreuzberg. Germany, right? Is that right? You worked at Tower? Is that right, Kevin? You worked at Tower? Oh, we're going to talk about that. Tower on 4th Street? Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Let's get the show on the road. Let's get the show on the road. Get that show on the road. I nailed it. Fucking Youngstown. I nailed it. You know who was from Youngstown, Ohio? You know who's from Youngstown, Ohio? Ugh. Oh. Oh, God, that's out of tune. Ugh. Anybody know who's from Youngstown, Ohio? Anybody? Warren Zevon sings about it. He has a song about him. Anybody? Nobody's capable of answering this one. Do I have to sing this song? Don't make me get the other acoustic. Don't make me do it.
I think I know the answer. Would that be Boom Boom Mancini?
That's right. Ray Boom Boom Mancini from Youngstown, Ohio. Ray Boom Boom Mancini, lightweight contender, like father, like son.
That's a great song.
Blue Stone Hit Squad plays it.
I expect to hear it at the grill.
You'll hear it, bro.
I expect to hear it. Also, a great Springsteen song called Youngstown. A later period one.
I don't fuck with Springsteen, really. You know.
No, really. I like Bruce. I got no beef with Bruce.
I'm not mad at him, but I don't fuck with him, man. You know, if I want to hear Springsteen, I'll listen to Jesse Malin. You know what I mean?
He does a great duet with Jesse, actually.
Hey, by the way, the Drew Stone Hit Squad is playing the Organic Grill October 29th, and we will be playing Boom Boom Mancini. Well, there you go.
Absolutely.
All right, a couple of photos, huh?
Yeah, we can pictures, you know.
All right, let's go with this. This. All right.
We know that guy.
Fuck does this guy have in his pocket, man? Listen, let me tell you something. What's this guy got in his fucking pocket?
Does he got his wallet in his front pocket?
Jesus. I get on stage, I empty my pockets. I'll get on stage with some bulge in my pocket, you know?
Maybe he's just happy to see you.
A phone? Is that right? Let me put my phone in my front pocket and get on stage and do it.
Put it on the amplifier, for God's sake. Do something.
Seriously. Is it Milli Vanilli? Yeah, he's packing a Rubik's Cube. Word. I'm not... What are you, nuts? I'm not leaving my Rubik's Cube backstage.
Someone will figure it out before me.
Yeah. It's a grenade. Danny, what's up, bro? It's a grenade. A square grenade. I don't care what you say. I'm going to blow my prick off. Ah!
Oh, man.
A juice box.
Get thirsty up there.
Is that apple or grape?
Cranberry.
Former Refused guitarist? No, listen, that's Mike DeJean, right?
Yeah, that's...
All right, what do we got here?
All right. Well, this was this was a great day.
Hey, stop rubbing the mic on your shirt, bro.
Stop moving your head. This was basically a Sunday matinee at the Knockdown Center to celebrate the last date of the Life of Agony Sick of It All tour. And it featured our friends here in Outburst, along with Regulate. And
hold on. Well, where are you going? What do you got, a plane to catch?
I work at a railroad yard. We catch trains here, not planes.
Jesus.
Jesus.
You got somewhere to go? Regulate. There you go.
There we go. We got some Regulate. And we had Pain of Truth. Who it was my first time seeing them, and I've been hearing a lot about them. I thought they were really good. Long Island boys, I believe.
Pain of Truth. Here you go.
Pain of Truth. I think they were one of the headliners for the B&B this past year, as a matter of fact.
Yep, Pain of Truth.
And yeah, they were really good. And of course, Sick of It All, and Life of Agony, and just you know what? I mean,
the Sick of It Alls and the Life of Agonies.
The Sick of It Alls and the Life of Agonies. And my friend Rich Stoller was there with me as well.
Yeah, I got.
There we go. There's Alan and then Joey. Just, you know what? Something really special about, when Sick of It All plays a Queens show, when Life of Agony plays a New York show. And we had a blast. Sid the Kid was there. I will say the fucking lights left a lot to be desired. The concert lighting, you see the sign that says it may cause, oh, look at that.
Yeah. That's a Rich Zoller shot.
That is a beautiful
shout out to Rich Zoller.
Yeah, Rich is the man. That is a beautiful shot. And when they see the sign that says the lights may cause seizures?
Yeah.
This was the kind of show where people were going home with migraines, I bet. Like, the lighting was crazy, chaotic strobes. Like,
here's another Rich Zoller.
Nice.
Is that Tim Daly getting crushed in the front?
I didn't see Tim there. He wasn't at that one.
You know why? You know who fucking gets on stage and says turn on the house lights?
Who's that?
We do.
Yeah, it was
we get on stage and I'm like, all right, enough. Turn the house lights on.
And the funny thing is, for the
you want to see a fucking light show? Go see fucking Pink Floyd.
The first three bands, I think the light was better. By the time it got to Sick of It All in LOA, it was crazy. But otherwise, the sound I thought was really good, and I like that room a lot. I think the Knockdown Center is a very cool place, Okay. And we had a lot of fun. It was a really great way to end the tour. I think I saw that tour 6 times this year. And,
hey, Rat Bones, what's up? What is it? It's a slow day over there. You coming by to say hi to the show? That's odd.
Rat Bones, you coming Sunday?
Never thought we'd see you again. That's yeah. I was out of town. We were out of town.
Yes. In fact, how was the big screening? As a matter of fact,
the screening the screening in Greenville, South Carolina was fantastic. It was sold out. They treated us really well. You know, they flew us down there. They picked us up at the airport. They put us in a nice hotel. They gave us food per diem. It was really, really, it was really, really great. It was a great event, and it's so surreal, right? Because I do this show. I've got the band, working on the book, you know, living in this sort of hardcore world. And I have this film, The Jews and the Blues, that's out doing the festival circuit. And like every 6 weeks, they fly me someplace to do a Q&A and host the film. So it's almost like, so it's a totally different world and a totally different crowd. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, sold out theater, talking about a film I did in the Middle East like 2 years ago. So that's pretty weird.
There's a little bit of hardcore in there.
Yeah, there is a little bit of hardcore.
There's a little bit.
So we're in Greenville, right? And it's like we have this like idyllic kind of couple days, like Main Street, like let's go to the candy store and like, you know, like la 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 la, you know. And we come back to New York, and we get back to my apartment. We pull the shade. I take a nap. Wake up an hour later. I hear all this commotion outside my window. I look out my window. It's like a scene like out of CSI. It's all cops, ambulance, the coroner, news vans, and literally right across from here, this guy tragically was a quadruple murder suicide. He killed his wife, killed his kids. He was on the cover of the Post today.
Oh my God!
Express Upper West Side two stabs his wife and them to death.
Did you ever like see this guy out there or no?
Yeah, I seen him and his wife and his kids. Nobody could figure it out. Nobody could figure out. He was the nicest guy, had the nicest family. Everybody loved the guy. Who the fuck knows?
They always say, you know?
Yep. All right, you know what? People are complaining that they can't hear us because of the wind.
Who?
Who's complaining? Larry Kelly.
Larry. Oh, thanks, Larry. I can't
Fuck
control
that dude.
Only Larry can control the weather. I don't have that power yet. So
I can control the weather.
I know you can.
No, you know what my superpower is? I can get bands back together. That's my superpower.
That's true. That's true. And I could think of one that's doing festivals right now that I think you did. Speaking of bands, there's a marching band right over my head right now. I'm surprised you can't hear it. So.
All right.
All right, then.
Get back to work, you bum.
Someone's got to do it.
I'll see you later. Yeah, it's horrible, right? Crazy. Back in New York, like an hour. And it's like fucking crazy, right? Front page of the Post. You know what was bizarre? I get the Post delivered, right, to my apartment building. I go out this morning. The paper's sitting in my vestibule. I pick up the paper. I look at the front page. I look across the street, like as I'm standing there, and it's like, just horrible, man. Just horrible. Anyway, that's what's up. You know, it's a crazy world. People do crazy things. Rest in peace, Edison Lopez and his fiancée Alexandra and their two children, Lucian and Calvin. Rest in peace. This show's dedicated to them. New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. That said, let's get on with it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, the Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Upstate Records, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise, like yourself, my friend. They are about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives. She's fresh, while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them, ramp up your weak-ass wardrobe game, at www.126clothing.com. Come on now, the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as the style and for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet, Ringo Starr, and Agnostic Front. Information on online sales will be taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Let's bring our guest on. Everybody okay? That's right. Rest in peace, John from the Effigies. Absolutely. What's up, Chucky? Yep. There you go. That said, let's clear the deck. Enough gore. Or maybe the gore's just starting. Who's to say? That said, excuse me while I whip this out. Remember that line? Excuse me while I whip this out. Ah! Today's guest is a singer-songwriter hailing from the Empire State of the South, Georgia. In his proficient career, he is known for his work with the bands Lockup, Damaged, Primate, Venomous Concept, and of course, Grindcore pioneers Brutal Truth. Please welcome, coming at us from Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Kevin Sharp. Hey, man.
Hello. How's it going?
Is this just is this the beginning of the horror?
The horror has just begun. Actually, it's a continuing, ongoing theme.
How's things in Atlanta?
It's good, man. A little bit calmer than your world. I'm sorry to hear about your neighborhood blowing up, man.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
But nothing like that ever happens in Atlanta.
I don't know, man. There was like I live in that neighborhood where the Wendy's guy got shot by the cops during it got pretty lively then. The whole block kind of was interesting for a minute. But it was crazy everywhere back then. Those were wild times.
And you're born and raised in that area, correct?
Well, technically born in a place called Sheffield, Alabama, which is like this little of note. It's where the
Sheffield, like Sheffield, UK.
Yeah, like that. Only next to this place called Muscle Shoals, which is famous for.
That's Sheffield, Georgia.
Sheffield, Alabama.
Oh, hold on. I want to look it up. Go ahead, as I'm looking it up.
It'll be next to like Muscle Shoals and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Up north.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes. Muscle
That's where all the
Tuscumbia. How do you pronounce that?
everything has Indian names down here, man.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah. So no, I mean, of note, musical note, that's where like Aretha Franklin and Percy Sledge and all those recorded stuff there with what they call the Swampers. So
yeah,
there is a note there. It's a brief one. I moved here when I was 4.
So did you grow up in a musical household? Like, how did music come into your life? And like, set the table for us.
Well, I mean, clearly, I sent you a pretty hilarious picture of the family trip to Mexico.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. That it's a great.
Pants,
I was just looking at that, going, "Dad, Kevin's dad looked hard."
Dude, he was hard. He was hard, man. Rode a bike.
Dude, your dad looks like what's his name? The pro wrestler. Look at how hard Kevin's dad is.
That's some good shit, man.
Are you and your sister aren't twins, are you?
No, she's a year and a half up on me.
I mean, because you both have the exact same smile. It's incredible.
I know. I mean,
Yeah.
I sent you another picture, all-American shot. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and finish the embarrassing part. Well, this
Who am I thinking of? Oh, your dad looks like Randall Tex Cobb, who was right. He was a martial arts guy. He fought Larry Holmes. He was a boxer, and he was in that movie Uncommon Valor.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely could be into the Dragon as well in that picture.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
No, he was an amazing man, great father, and he was surrounded by music, and a lot of the the old Capricorn stuff, you know.
Oh wow, is that right?
Yeah, and all that stuff was huge down here. You know, the Allman Brothers, that kind of thing. They were always playing in the park, and my dad always, because I was not exactly the easiest person to have a babysitter for, he would drag me to the gigs. So
Wow.
yeah.
And when you're saying the old Capricorn stuff, it's like Allman Brothers Band. Captain Beyond was on Capricorn.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. Marshall Tucker wasn't on Capricorn.
I
But,
believe so. Yeah. I mean, a
yeah.
lot of those bands got kind of, and you know what? They just actually revamped the whole studio. You can actually, it's just like Sun. You can go down there and record if you got the nickel. You know.
That was Phil Walden.
Oh, look at that! Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah,
bring
there
on the
you go.
spirit train, man. How about
Yeah,
that?
there you go.
Go America! Holy
Yeah.
moly! Look at that belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So,
I mean, I
so,
got
so,
my
so there was music. So you're raised in the South, and there was music around.
always music.
That's awesome.
You know,
That's awesome.
those were different times, and music
Mhm.
was presented differently. So, it was an amazing childhood. It had like that classic. Everyone, our age group talks nostalgia towards that time period of time. But I mean, imagine that like anyone growing up in whatever period, it's going to be nostalgic to them. But I had very, very special time back then. Always music.
That's awesome. And so the first music that you kind of saw live was Southern rock and real Americana root stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw the Willie Nelson stuff from back in the day when they were all wild and crazy and stuff. And, I mean, that's the stuff I grew up on. I got my education, I guess, in our world, probably through like, through John Belushi and the Saturday Night Live stuff.
Sure.
Those were like what the fuck moments where you see Devo or Fear or something like that, and you're like, man, what's going on here?
Saturday Night Live back then was like a real opportunity for people to see, Elvis Costello or Devo, or even like the Rolling Stones were, like, oh shit, the Stones are, like shit.
I mean, even the Talking Heads and all the other stuff that that you get turned on to. That's just like, I really don't think that like Belushi really gets the cred for like he really jump started things for like out there in America. Sure. So high five to Belushi.
Bowie is Keith Burkhardt, cause for alarm. Where you been, bro? We missed you. Yeah. Also, and we've talked about this before, is that even when Belushi was doing the Blues Brothers thing, it's just like that opened that sort of like exposed that music to so many people who peeled back the veneer and looked beyond that and were like, oh wow, okay, these guys were just sort of like, this is like a comedy routine. These songs were all, who originally did these songs? And then you kind of go back and you go, oh wow,
there are rabbit holes all throughout his career, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And that saying Aretha Franklin was in that. You start dipping back into there.
Sure.
Then you got Aretha Franklin and Dwayne Allman doing things, and
that's right.
Ankle bone, knee bone stuff.
That's right.
So I'm going to go ahead and cliff note Target Video as well. I forget who turned me on to the Target videos back in the day, but like, you took bits and pieces, and time has a way of eroding timelines and stuff.
Time has a way of eroding my mind.
A couple of drinks along the way, but I do remember that Target Video was a huge thing. Screamers, of course, all the Black Flag stuff.
Now, when you say Target Video, you're talking about in Santa Monica, the VHS,
The VHS
thing, part of
cassettes.
it is that we would sort of send away for, or yeah, and
Absolutely.
yeah,
absolutely huge.
yeah.
And but like the first gig thing, and I was talking to you a little bit about it last night, was like I was in this crazy, I don't know whether you know Atlanta too much. There's this crazy fast food joint that's been around for, you know, since the dawn of time, called Varsity. And it's just like a hot dog stand that's notorious, and people have been in all sorts of states there for years. But
is it like a place like we talked about, like that has like a thing like the garbage plate?
yeah, exactly. It's like they call it yellow dog, yellow dog. You know,
every town has one, right?
oh God, some place where you've done some, you repent. You know,
Right.
but this place was like really weird. It had like a bunch of different rooms in it, and they were all like school desks, right? So
Right.
you get your fucking onion rings and your shit knots and fucking sit down, and they'd have this big, you know, 1970s TV, like, you know, at the end of the fucking room. And my mom planted me there for a minute, and I saw some kids walking by down Spring Street, and they, you know, they had the, you know, and I was like, wow, man, you know, I'd seen this on fucking TV, you know. The Ramones, I got turned on to them. Remember that show Sha Na Na?
Yeah, of course, with Bowser.
Bowser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, at the time it was all like, you know, just this, that, and the other. But I stumbled down to this place called the 688 Club. And you know, someone was making some analogy the other day on one of the local hardcore internet things or whatever, as like, you know, the Metroplex was the CBs, and I would have said, well, then, you know, then the 688 Club would be Max's or whatever. You know, there was a couple different spots. So anyway, I follow these dudes in, and this band called Neon Christ was playing.
Neon Christ.
They were they're Atlanta legends. They played with all. They were on the bill with all the bands that came through at the time, and I can't remember whether it was I don't know whether it was the Neg Heist Black Flag tour, or it was a COC DDT thing. With DDT was another local band that did, but you know, that was my first like accidental whoops. There was also another accidental whoops, you know, that I didn't have the traditional, like someone's older brother turned me on to it down the street. I just kind of stumbled into things blindly.
What's that?
Yeah, like
it wasn't like my older brother like had the Sex Pistols record, you know?
Yeah. There was always some dude down the street who turned you on. I just kind of blindly stepped into it, you know. And I remember my mom used to take me to every week, take me to the record store, and I get like an ice cream cone next door, and I'd spend all my money that I made that week on records. And the first Motorhead shits was out, and my mom used to say, "Oh, Kevin, you look like Motorhead," and you know, the hair flying out everywhere and stuff like that. So she got me the record as a joke for Christmas that year, and that's how I got.
You know that Motorhead record would be far from a joke.
It ruined me, man. When you think about things, so actually, if you think about like all the shit you've done over time, you know, and you sit there and you think about it, like, you know, how, if this didn't happen, how would your life evolved around that, you know? And I look at things like
there's those watershed moments where you're like, where you zigged instead of zagged, and you wonder, what if
I didn't watch Devo Satisfaction on Saturday Night Live? Because I freaking remember that like my brain is crushed, but I remember that like the ironclad, man. And I remember
I got one for you. What if I didn't quit pledging that frat when I was a freshman in college?
What?
I pledged a frat in college, and didn't know what I was getting myself into. It's a crazy story, and I don't want to I don't want
No,
to.
I got to hear it now, man. What's up?
I'll give you the. I show up as a freshman to college. I meet a couple people. Some guy invites me to a party. I go to a party. It turns out to be this, what they call like a smoker for the fraternity, where they like invite people to it, and they go around the room and people kind of say who they are.
Yeah.
I was there. I just sort of like, I had this kind of like, I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah.
And like, I'm from New York. I'm up here to study acting, this and that. And they asked me to pledge their fraternity. And I did not know what that particularly meant. Next thing I know, I'm carrying a fucking brick around and fucking wearing a fucking hat. And fucking, I lasted like a week and I was just like, yeah, this isn't for me.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
my life took, it was like, and I was already into the hardcore thing there. And my hardcore friends were like, what the fuck are you doing? And it was, I was a teenager, man. It was like, it was a lot to deal with. And I ended up quitting as I was pledging, which you don't do, and I did it. I fucking quit. And it was a big moment in my life, because my life went, woo.
You left turn, man. Left turn.
It was. And sometimes I think, what if I would have hung in there with that?
Dude, I got so many periods like that, man.
Yeah.
And you look back at it, man. Sometimes you sit there and you go, man, was that something that I read about, or did that actually
Right.
you know what I mean?
Did that fucking happen?
Did that happen? How fucking wild was that, man? Like
so what's going on here? Yeah, what's this?
Living my best life, man.
Yeah,
I think that's my Mickey Rat shirt I have on there.
I mean, so you get in the mix. You're rocking a mohawk down in the South.
It was not well received at the time, man. It was.
I would think not, right?
But there was a beauty. I'll tell you. No, Drew, check this out. The thing that was beautiful about like growing up in an alternate, in an alternate situation, the South
Right.
still, even Atlanta was still super conservative and strange. It reminded me a lot of like what Baltimore. Look at that guy. What a good looking kid, huh? But at any rate, a lot of people lived out in the suburbs. It reminded me a lot of Baltimore. You know what I mean? Where people went into the city and they worked, and then they, let me see. Yeah. And so at any rate, like my mom constantly reminded me of this, and she constantly reminds me of all my choices. That's hilarious. So at any rate, but what was really beautiful about it was that, like, the downtown area at night was your world. You could do whatever the fuck you wanted and be whoever you wanted, and it didn't matter. At the time, the Butthole Surfers were playing here a lot. Pinkus was from Atlanta. And
what were some of the first sort of like hard shows that you saw, and did you see anybody early on that really inspired you?
I'm gonna say some of the early gigs that blew me away. Black Flag was pretty cool live. Some things that just kind of was just like whatever was the Discharge. Brave New World or whatever that was pretty tough to watch, but
yeah, that was weird.
Some of my favorite like straight up hardcore shows I remember were like GBH was exceptionally good.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of Bad Brains gigs were massive.
Now back then I was in Atlanta a bunch of times, and I've been to the Masquerade. Was the Masquerade around then?
No. Masquerade was like after after the Metroplex. Everything kind of just like the Metroplex ended like in a really weird way. Do you remember like the Democratic convention that Rob Lowe got busted like banging the punk rock chick?
That was in Atlanta.
That was Atlanta, and Paul Cornwell actually, I'll tell you the story of the Metroplex. He had a farm in Jamaica and needed a place to justify coming and going, and there was always trucks coming and going into this space. And so, he got a little too political for himself. He did this thing called, the Anti-Democratic Convention, and the Mentors station wagon busted down. I think this was '86, but they broke down and they built the stage, and we had like a month of the Mentors in our club every night. It was fucking brutal, man.
Wow.
That was pretty tough, man.
Yeah.
But this thing, they had like this was going on during the Democratic Convention, who was 6 blocks away. And it had Abby Hoffman spoke, and Timothy Leary was there, and MDC, this, that, and the other. Those kind of bands played. It was back when
all the rabble rousers.
Yeah, well, it was back when we all hated all politicians, and there wasn't this team sports shit that everyone's got going on right now, And but like. It pretty much weakened the city, and strangely enough, the building burned down like within a year. So that's when the Masquerade. I think sometime of that period. The Masquerade now is just this weird thing that I don't know. It smells like death.
Yeah, I haven't been there in years. I did a couple things there, played there, shot a video there for a band. Like, I remember that was kind of the place for a couple years,
Yeah, you know what, and to my point earlier, that people will cite that period, and
yeah, that's right.
There's special moments where there. I played there with Brutal Truth a couple of times. It was awful. It was painful. The sound was terrible. It's just giant rocks and walls everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. So some places are just. I have this I have this theory that like some places are just not should not be a venue for live music. It's like it used to be a warehouse for cotton bales. It used to be well, it fucking sucks for music.
Yeah, my favorite stage ever is like CB's. That height, that connection, where you can. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I could close my eyes and I could walk anywhere in that room.
Yeah.
And know where the soft spots in the floor was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody has some story in the bathroom. That's for sure.
And you know what? I could close my. I still hear that bass drum sound of like when you walk through the front door, and like it's like down at the end of the cave. There's like this dull thudding sound. Yeah, they had like that very distinctive bass drum sound.
Yeah, I saw like I saw a video earlier today. I don't know whether it was from Roger's Going Away gig, but like I remember I was still living in Atlanta at the time, and I drove up there to CB's to watch the AF gig, and that was important to me too, because at the time I was doing like college radio, and I really didn't have any aspirations of I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, still have no idea really. I'm just kind of freestyling or whatever, but I just was following what everyone was told to do, like you said about the, fraternity. You're just kind of doing what's expected or whatever. And, I went and saw that gig, and I saw that community, and it was something that I identified with. And the next thing I packed a crate of records up, and fucking, there it was, so.
So you moved up to New York?
Yeah, I did. I did engineering school, and what do? You go and work in a magazine. I mean, you go do the exact opposite and pay endless amounts of student loans, and
of course.
That's the American way.
Get in debt and then do something you totally.
Yeah. Swing hammers, do whatever it takes to to pay that bill. I don't even know. But at any rate, I ended up there. I ended up working at a place called CMJ. They did a lot of music convention stuff.
Yeah, CMJ.
Yeah, it was a weekly. Well, people won't know of what that was, but
CMJ was a college music journal. Is that what it stood for? And
radio,
it was
radio.
And then eventually it became sort of like a yearly event here in New York with a lot of live shows and college music journal, CMJ.
Yeah,
it won. I give it what? Is it fair to give it 10 years? Where it was very, very informative and vibrant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The time I was there for about 4 years. We did the convention was in the World Trade Center, and there was usually about 300 bands that played that weekend. And just some of the most insane, like you sit back and you look at things and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I was involved with that. It's so weird. I saw some picture of Doug from King's X, who's with Jerry Cantrell, is like, everyone's all old and haggard now and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, I totally forgot about that. At the Limelight, King's X, we put on a King's X show with Alice in Chains opening up. I forget who opened up.
I think I saw that show. Is that when Gretchen goes to Nebraska?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone was expecting them to be massive.
I was at that show. That they were fucking. King's X was great then. They were great.
They're a great band. And
hey, look who says hello. Your friend of my cousin Alan Dubin.
Yes, exactly.
Right? What's up, guys?
And Dubin Connections. If you want to connect the dots here, my old roommate Jason, who played in both Nirvana and Soundgarden.
That's right.
He played in OLD.
That's right. And he went on. He was like, wasn't he? He was a special forces guy after all this.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like,
that guy's got a story.
Dude, you know what? There's an article in the New Yorker. A guy named Clay, I think it was Clay from Bullet LaVolta, wrote an article on it. It was like, compiling his world, like from rock into Ranger.
Wild story.
No,
incredible story. Yeah. So you're up in New York, CMJ. How does? I mean, was there another band, or did Brutal Truth come from that?
You know what? I had met Lilker through Peggy Donnelly. I don't know. Do you know Peggy Donnelly? She was from Boston. She was from Boston. She was from Boston. She worked. She worked at Atlantic. She came from a different world, I would say. She came from like the
hair metal world.
That winger thing,
hair metal world. Yeah, I remember her now.
That kind of thing, curly hair, super nice. But she helped me move up there, and so I met her. I met Lilker through her over at L'Amour. I forget what show it was. L'Amour and CB's were two different worlds.
Sure.
And it was
sure.
I remember being aggressively escorted out of L'Amour more than a few times.
But I will say that Lilker was one of the few guys that could actually straddle both those worlds.
Yeah, he was, man. But I think he got blessed in through Craig.
Yeah. He grew up with Craig. He grew up with Craig Satari from
Craig would.
But Lilker would come down to hardcore matinees, and he kind of straddled both worlds.
Well, he is smooth and easily. New York City Mayhem was right in his wheel well. But you know what, man? I'm going to go ahead and shout out to Long Island as well. There's a bunch of shredders that were out there. The Ludacris stuff and the Crumbsucker stuff. Those were total shred metal.
Absolutely.
But they straddled that world too.
And Crumbsuckers were a huge influence on a lot of people. When I directed the Alago film and I was interviewing Kirk Hammett, he was a huge Crumbsuckers fan. He was like, he loved the Crumbsuckers. Big influence on him.
Absolutely. What's this demo thing that I just saw? Like my buddy Whitty showed me a picture of some vinyl record, a demo of the back in the glory days.
That got put out a couple years ago. That's with Dave singing. They sort of like put the original demos together and printed it up on vinyl.
Is it any good?
I don't know. I don't have a record player, but
Oh,
I don't know. I don't listen to music, bro.
Dude, I got the old Victrola. Let's put it on there and see what happens.
It's the early day. Why am I drawing a blank? Dave, what was Crumbsucker's? Dave. The stuff that he sang on before they got the second singer.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's cool. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. I mean, all the Crumbsuckers.
I was a huge fan.
Stuff was all before. So all right. So go on. So I want to. How did this? Dave Brady. Thank you, Dave Brady.
And
the
world and the internet provides.
Listen, the New York Hardcore Chronicles live chat room provides.
I know, man. Yeah. All you, and you know, like when you live the life, your brain is nothing but.
Yeah, well, here's a valid reference here. Harris says Charlie Benante once said that the first time he heard a blast beat was from New York City Mayhem.
New York City Mayhem. You know, everyone credits the DRI thing, which is cool. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was New York City Mayhem were the first in with this.
Yeah,
and it's the single kick you're after. You don't, you know, all that Nancy blasting the kids do nowadays is not for me.
Right.
You know, well, no, they, you know, I'm old.
I'm Drew. Pleased to meet you.
I forget the kind of blast they call it, but I don't know. They have various versions of it. There is only one blast. That's a single kick blast.
Yeah,
that's what matters. But I will tell you real quick before we drift into this, Venom and Motorhead was the acceptable bridge in the punk rock community where I was from. That was because to me and to all my friends, they were basically punk bands that either talked about rock and roll or Satan instead of anarchy or whatever, you know.
Sure.
So
some people would even put the first Iron Maiden record in there a little bit.
Oh man, you know what? That's because you know Deanna was a punk, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
But
absolutely.
But that was more like street metal.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yep.
You know, so
yeah. But all right. So moving forward, how does the Brutal Truth thing come together?
Okay, so Lilker comes up to me. I'm hanging out with Donnelly in Lemoore, and in true fashion, he goes, "Hey, you want to smoke some weed?" I was like,
"Want to smoke a doobie?"
You want to smoke some weed? Dude, I'll tell you something amazing about
he used that word doobie on me fairly recently. He's like, "Hey, you know anybody around here that's got a doobie?" I'm like, "Huh?"
Yeah, it still looks and smells the same as he did in high school. I'm telling you, man. There's low evolution, and then there's Lilker.
Yeah, there you go.
At any rate, he comes up and he goes, "Hey, man, you want to smoke some weed?" And I was like, "I don't got any weed." And he goes, "I got some weed. You want to smoke some pot?" And that's how I met Dan. Yeah. You know, and we did like some stuff, like a demo thing that was sort of in tongue-in-cheek fashion towards one of the industry people that we knew, and it was we put together this brutal death metal demo that was just dogs barking.
I like this. I like Larry the Hunter says Lilker arrived fully evolved.
Pretty much, man. What you got is what you got. Those genes are the same, and you know he's not going to change.
So Dubin says, I remember listening to a Brutal Truth demo at your pad before you joined.
Yeah. There was it was like they were originally a 3-piece at the time
with Lilker singing, right?
With Lilker and the drummer Scott Lewis was singing as well.
Right.
Hi, Alan. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah.
Anyway, just saying hello to your cousin. Anyway, like so I think at one point he got like they just got tired of doing it and of doing the vocals and playing at the same time.
Yeah, it's tough.
And yeah, especially when it's just a meat grinder, you know, just no.
Ah!
Exactly. That's
It's like
pretty much
being,
what it was back in the day.
it's like being electrocuted. Ah!
Exactly.
Brrr.
That's how you get the good tone, man. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Nothing.
But I gotta ask you, how does it go from like I'm working for CMJ and I'm doing this to do you want to sing in this band?
Well, like I said, we goofed around with this demo thing and we played around with this, that, and the other. And he got tired of doing the vocals and that sort of thing. And he asked me to join. And it was back when they were doing those Milwaukee Metal Fest things.
I just went to the revived one.
How did it go for you, man? Was it cool?
Well, I was out there with Biohazard because I'm directing a Biohazard documentary, and so I was out there with them. You know, they were rehearsing a couple days, and I mean, you know, it's owned by Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed.
Yeah, I know that.
So, you know, I think he put in a valiant effort. I think, you know, I don't think as many people showed up as they hoped. I think the past is dead. You know, to a certain extent, I do think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. You know, it's like sometimes you can't go back and recreate childhood.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm certain that he probably went out there. Like I remember one time I was playing one of those things and I saw El Duce having a conversation with King Diamond. And
That's a good one.
Like, you can ask the dudes from Sick of It All. They were there too, man. And it was just like, we were just like going, the fuck are they talking about over there? Like, what is going? I would give anything to, because it was
right.
How's it going and pass on, man. They sat there talking for a good minute, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know, sometimes you just can't recreate those. There's a lot of things that you know, competition in that world. It's not like Europe, but I mean, you know, you got the decibel stuff, which is really cool, and you know you know, there's the Vegas thing. There's already a handful of bands that have already moved past whatever that was, and it's hard to automatically. You can't just jump there.
Yeah. Yep.
Those kind of things are built, you know.
So you're on board with Brutal Truth, and you're playing shows, and you're traveling to places like Milwaukee, and you're playing the Milwaukee Metal Fest when it was very happening.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And you guys, is it safe to say you guys are finding, or the audience is finding you?
Yeah, but you know, like the cool thing about back then was there wasn't really booking agents and things like that. I mean, like Finberg came along later on to you know, to cull the fields, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. But at the time, you know, it was like all DIY, man. You just kind of like, I remember John from Incantation booked our first tour out to Milwaukee. We played just every fucking little rat hole for pizzas or hot dogs or whatever they were willing to feed us, you know. And you know, it was just there was no one really doing that. And you just showed up, and it'd be like, oh, surprise, it looks like this and it's gonna smell like that, you know.
We're crossing the railroad tracks. The club must be around here somewhere.
Well, yeah, exactly. We're not really near food that you would want to eat.
We're crossing the railroad tracks into the bad part of town. The club must be around here somewhere.
Exactly. Club, no fun. And then you're sleeping on some dude's floor and you wake up. And I remember one time, like we were doing a tour with Cathedral and Napalm and Carcass. This was all that shit was blowing up, and everyone was just raping the earth with us, you know. And us and Cathedral were getting paid $50 a night. Oof. And we shared a van. There was 13 of us in one van for like three and a half months, man.
Wow.
God, you gotta want it, man. You gotta want it.
Hard times make monkeys eat red peppers, right?
Dude, I mean, you know, all of those old childhood stories are based loosely around those kind of worlds. But I remember me and Dorian were up having pops, you know, and everyone else was passed out on the floor. We were in Cleveland, Ohio, and Dorian comes back in and he comes up to me. He goes, "Oh man, you see there in the bathroom, man, all the weird stickers." And I'm like, "What do you mean weird stickers?" And he's like, they had like these like fortune cookie style stickers everywhere that had like Nazi stuff all over it and stuff. And we realized that we were sleeping in a den, and it was we were like, oh my God, how do we get out of here? You know,
it's like that movie, The Green Room, right? It's like,
oh yeah, totally. We're just like, oh my God, don't
where are
harm
we? We're in Wyoming.
Yeah. You know, but I grew to really enjoy, sleeping on people's floors. And if you do it long enough, you make good friends everywhere, and you become a part of their world. And it's a blessing at this age to see, people evolve in their worlds and families grow and things.
Yeah. Well, got to shout out Chris Contos, who was just out playing drums with Forbidden. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was just in Europe doing that. Yeah. You just reminded me of when I used to be on the road, and we were traveling. It got to the point where the harder you roughed it, the more respect you got. So you'd have people arguing over, no, I'm sleeping in the bathtub, like shit like that, like I'm sleeping in the worst sleeping spot.
No, the one guard in the van sleeping on the Marshall cabinets was the one who always won, because it was always winter in Cleveland or some shit. Man, like I remember, we could sit there and reminisce about the Cleveland thing. We did a gig, and we came out and the window was broke, and a box of merch went going, and we got up the next day to leave, and there was like all these homeless people running around with Brutal Truth shirts on. What are you gonna do? Give me a fucking shirt back, man.
Hey, at least we're getting the word out there,
Yeah, exactly, man. This is called street marketing, man. You don't know nothing about it, man.
This is the real deal. This is like fuck that internet bullshit. This is the real shit here.
Yeah, and to, because Billy from Biohazard is an old friend of mine, and I'll go ahead and shout out to like, you can remember back in the days when they were first getting started and how they'd fucking leaf out the subway trains, and whatever kind of success those dudes get, all praise, because they work their ass off to get there.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Talking about the Brutal Truth records,
sure.
Starting, I guess, any memories of sort of
that record?
Yeah,
sure. We recorded it on 14th Street, like
is that Baby Monster?
Baby Monster, yeah.
No shit.
That's right. Huh?
Baby Monster, huh?
Baby Monster, yeah. That's a great studio. A lot of great records came out of that place. Stevie McAllister engineered that. You know Stevie?
Yeah.
And
I don't. I don't know Stevie McAllister. No.
Oh, he's done Swans and Damaged and all that stuff. Okay. He's an old schooler, New York kind of dude or whatever. But
right.
Yeah, and I met him through like when the COC dudes were doing that Blind record, and those dudes were like staying at my apartment or whatever. So that record right there specifically, we had Colin Richardson, who did like he did this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
From back in the day. And I got him over here, and he was staying at my place when we were tracking it. And I was asking him all these questions, and all that shit he did was just a complete and utter accident. And I'm just like, oh, okay, you're here now. Let's. But he was hilarious. Anything he was like you ever know someone who's like got so much negative energy that like you're just like, just sit still, don't touch anything, just don't. He touched my VCR and a tape pulled out, and it just ate the tape, He pulled the CD player out of the CD player, and the CD player didn't shut again. He pushed the stop button on the multi-tape, and it just.
And this is the guy that's working on the record?
Yeah, totally, man. I've worked with him twice. It was amazing. It's just like, oh my God. We had 2 days to mix the record. And he bit into Bagel, and you know, he lost a couple of teeth up front that had gotten knocked out. Like it's some he got punched out in a pub one night. He lost his teeth, and his teeth broke when just eating a bagel. I mean, like
a New York bagel.
Exactly.
Those were the days too when you know we're mixing the record in 2 days. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
you know,
on the fly. Remember that? You know,
yeah,
we're gonna mix it
absolutely.
on the fly.
You know, you got tape across the board and all
Yeah.
these little cues and responsibilities, and mixing it was just as part of it. Was almost a part of it is like recording it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you know, like everyone had their chore, their responsibility. I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to move this fader at this point. And blah blah blah.
At 134, you move that fader up.
And if you don't, you get punched down hard, man. You know what I mean? It's just like what do you mean you blew it? We gotta blow it.
Right. That's funny. That's
yeah, we did it there under duress, and you know, like all of those kind of records. You know, we were kids, we didn't know what we were doing. I just hear mistakes. You know, but you know, it's a classic record to a lot of people, and I don't clown on anyone's love, you know. So
yeah, and then you know, come on, people, you know, need to control. The next record is this is a beloved record, man. People love this fucking record. Any memories of recording it, or could you give us some perspective on it?
Oh, tons of memories on that one. We went about recording it ourselves at Baby Monster.
Self-produced?
Yeah. Yeah. It's called We Had an Engineer and an Idea, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, we basically got everything recorded on that. And it was at the time like the label we were on did a deal with a major. And
that's E-Ray, correct?
Yeah. And that major needed the studio, and we got bumped in another studio, and we couldn't mix it, so we ended up mixing it over in Liverpool after we did a tour over there in Phil Collins' studio, and that's when the return of Colin Richardson shows back up.
Right.
And just to give you an idea what it was like working with this guy, man, it's like there was 2 dudes, assistants that were in the studio, and they sat there with like rubbing alcohol and rags, like at the tennis matches, the dudes that run out and catch the balls and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I was at the US Open yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So they're sitting there with squirt bottles of rubbing alcohol as Colin's dancing around the fucking board with an ice cream cone, you know? Oof. I'm just like, oh my God, you realize that's like a $400,000 board, right? That you're dancing with an ice cream cone over it, man. Like, and everyone's just waiting for it to drop, you know? We had all sorts of problems with that. And in terms of, you know, we had definitive ideas of like we wanted to do and that sort of thing. And it was kind of hard, you know. At this point, he was doing like Machine Head records and stuff. And, you know, like there was songs that I would be like, you know, okay, Rich, I want you to go in there and throw some garbage cans around for, you know, a minute. And then we're going to just double that and kind of mix it here and there. And is
that the art behind you?
Yeah, this is.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess there's test pressings, and then there's that, right?
What? Who did that artwork?
Lou Guzzig, a dude. My mom does fine art, so
yeah.
One of her friends, we were looking around for something, and it just kind of clicked, you know.
Yeah.
And later on, after because we'd licensed it for the artwork. And then, you know, like you do with art, when someone's on hard times, you go over and poach their fucking, poach their back catalog of material, you know. Wait for a divorce. That's when you get the cheap price on art, man.
Now, on that record, we had the opportunity to work together, right?
Yeah,
I produced the God Player video off that record. This is a shot of you and me sitting in the chairs. I
Yeah.
guess I guess 94, right?
Yeah.
1994.
Yeah.
This was at Veritas Studio, which is in Manhattan here, which is long gone. And that's Felix from Blue Grape behind me.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy next to me, I mean, there's
Lomito.
Milford.
Lomito, right?
Lomito, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. And the band Lomito. And the guy in the middle who directed the video is a guy named Bill Ward. And Bill Ward, not the Black Sabbath Bill Ward,
No.
but Bill Ward came from an editing cameraman background. And the video he did before this, for a little bit of trivia out there, he directed the Life of Agony through and through video before this. And then, you know, and then after this, you know, he sort of went back to being an editor soon after, you know. So, but this was cool. And, you know, this was a great opportunity for us to work together. And then
because it you know, it puts you in that sort of metal world, and it put us in that other world as well, you know.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and shout out to Jimmy Murphy's Law. You know, he was always hospitable and put us on his gigs as well back in the day too. So he was a bridge and a handout as well. So.
Yep. And this video got out there, right? I saw it.
Absolutely.
It got played in a. You know, I saw it. It got out there. You know.
It was on the Headbanger Ball stuff and that sort of thing. And I met all sorts of people through that video. You know, Buzz from the Melvins. I ended up doing a record with him and Venomous Concept, and we did actually. Brutal Truth did a split record with the Melvins back in the day as well. But you know, it all came from that. There was the didgeridoo. There was a lot of weird shit going on with that song in particular. But
a couple years later, Sounds of the Animal. What a great cover, man.
Yeah, you know what? That's when
this is a great album cover, man.
Yeah, that's when Photoshop was first getting the started there, and the digital.
That right?
Yeah. I mean, like digital artwork was, you know, in its infancy back then, and a really cool side note: the man that's in that video was the UPS delivery guy at Relapse. Just pulled him off the side, took a picture of him.
Hey man, can we get a picture? Hey, listen.
Hey, you got a second?
Yeah, and then years later, like, you know, like,
you're that guy. You know, you show up in all sorts of trivia somewhere. You know,
weird shit, like the little baby swimming in the Nirvana on the cover, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're the guy, and he's gonna come back and put a lawsuit on me and stuff like that.
Like, I'm not even gonna say it.
I will tell you another thing about that record that freaks me out, and I don't know whether you have the back of it, but this was back when the World Trade was still up and standing, and there was a crosshair from the graveyard over in.
Let me see if I can find it.
And you know, hindsight it was a stab at capitalism, but then the tragedy happened like a few years later, and it just was just like, if there's anything you could ever take back in life.
Oh, here it is. I got it. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
I'd take it back in a New York second, man.
Listen, man. You know,
it was a knife in capitalism, but like, you know, it just goes to show you that life imitating art happens, and I'd rather not. You know, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we won't even go there. Yeah, these things happen, right?
Yeah.
So let me take a sponsor break, and
I get to hear you do your. This reminds me of the old TVs when you would sit there and you would talk about Paul Malls.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a little bit of everything here, but it's going to be a couple of minutes, and we're going to come back with Lori and Gina from Women of the Pit, and they're gonna turn us on to a band, and we will continue on our way. So
we'll be new band alert.
New band alert. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Right on.
This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Kevin Sharp. We're getting down, we're getting dirty. And now a word from our sponsors.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. The Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
This is it, the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated, New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today, Kevin Sharp. I want to mention a couple upcoming events. Let's go with events. There is no show. We're not doing the show on Sunday because there is an all-ages free Bowery Electric matinee going on with School Drugs, Non-Residents, Fire is Murder, Cartel, and Dragons at noon. Actually, this is one of two times that there's no show Sunday and there's no show a week from today because I'm location scouting for my new feature film, Finders Keepers, which we will talk about at some point. We will be back Sunday, September 10th with the new music spotlight. I will be doing the show live from Bridge 9 Records. So, this Sunday, we're down at the Bowery Electric. Come through. And then, of course, the Dick Dynamite screening is a couple days after that. We're going to show the trailer again at the next break. The crew is coming in from Scotland, including the director. They are involved with me with my new film. Tickets are still on sale for Dick Dynamite. Then we, Incendiary Device, it's going to jump off tonight on September 9th. We're up at the Bridge 9 warehouse. With H2O, I'm sorry, it's sold out in 30 minutes. But if you're in New Jersey, we will be playing Saturday, September 30th with Alan Robert from Life of Agony, Spoiler NYC, The Take, Ice Cold Killers, and Frequency Overload. We're dusting off the Drew Stone Hit Squad. We're playing Organic Grill on Sunday, October 29th. The ID record release show is Sunday, November 12th at our beloved Bowery Electric with Rebelmatic, The Craze, Cortisol, and Pembroke. And brought to you by Women of the Pit and New York Hardcore Comics, the Holiday Slamboree is going to be December 17th at the Bowery Electric, free all ages, featuring No Redeeming Social Value, Butterbrain, RBNX, Chumhuffer, and toys. So there you go. all this and more is going down. Please, my friend, if you haven't already, if you're not, please support the show. The show needs your support. There's a Patreon page. Everyone on Patreon is getting the book for free. Everyone on Patreon is getting the incendiary device for free. There's also a PayPal address there. Support the show that supports you. Please. That said, what else? I think we're good. We'll get into the other upcoming shows. Smash that like button. And also if you're on Instagram, which I know you are, please follow the show and myself at Stone Films NYC. And subscribe to the show if you're watching on rerun right there. And like the show. Don't make me unleash my dogs of war. So there you go. That said, let me clear the deck. Let's bring Gina and Lori. What's up?
There you are.
Hello. So I just had a whole thing. I'm at work, and I usually take a break to come onto the show. And it's at this point, 5 minutes before we're supposed to go on, that our systems admin decides they're going to reset the whole system. And so I was like, no. So I was frantically trying to get on. Yeah, I knew
that.
Here we are.
I knew that. That's why I didn't bring you on till just now.
Well, thank you very much, Drew.
All right, I'm good like that.
It's still not back up. I'm just on my phone, which is why it looks funny.
Well, you look good.
Well, thank you.
There you go. So, Women of the Pit, tell us about what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, so this is Squalid Grind from Western Massachusetts, and we have here a ferocious mix of grindcore, power violence, hardcore, shredding vocals, intense riffs. I just love this band. Love it, love it. So
yeah, they say they're from Western Mass, but they're actually from all around the country. But they just kind of all gathered over there. Some are from Texas. Someone was like from upstate or over there, but that's where they live now, and that's where they operate out of.
Let's look
at yeah, you got a clip there?
Yes.
Little clippy clip.
Good Lord.
Hey, bro. So that song came out of the pandemic, right?
Look what you've done. Kevin Sharp, look what you've done. Look what you've influenced.
This is your legacy.
I'm holding you.
I make no apologies.
This is your legacy.
I'm responsible for this.
Nah, they're great. They played with Suicidal.
Mother Mary and Joe.
Yeah, no, man. They sound really good, though, Drew. I know that they're peeling your face.
So their name means school, and this is literally, I think, a lesson in modern grindcore here.
It's what the kids are doing.
Down a little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, their name is Grind School.
Woo!
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and shout out to the women that have jumped into the game on this, like in the last so.
Absolutely.
There was, back in the day, there was Mythic and only a handful of, and of course, Amy from Nausea, and Insurgent, and that sort of thing. But it's very, very good to see the ladies up there killing it now. So
yeah, and they were just on tour with Napalm Death. And they said the same thing, they said that there were a lot of 80s hardcore metal, 80s metal dudes at their shows, right? But now they're fathers, so they were coming up to them and going, I'm so glad you ladies are up there, and for my daughter, or for my trans kid, or whatever, you're up there doing your thing, and being sort of like a role model.
Yeah, no, Drew, one of the greatest things about being around and any kind of longevity in music is that, like, I've always been that guy who sold stuff at the t-shirt stand. If you want to come meet me in any of my bands that I'm doing, you'll usually find me out there. Well, you always find me out there. But it's been one of the greatest side notes is watching how people you meet in all these places all over the planet, they eventually start bringing their kids up. They're 16 years old. They're coming to their first gig, and you realize that you're a part of their world. And it's really cool. I'm actually got beyond that whole scared of aging and kind of embracing it right now. It's kind of cool I'm looking forward to the final chapters and see what happens, So it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. I always think it's cool how this music just kind of has found its way all around the world, right? So it's all in all these little pockets. Like we've featured bands in Peru, and Indonesia has a huge scene, and it's just really cool to see how it's evolved. And now you have bands like this who are completely they just get out and shout out everybody at their shows and want everybody to feel welcome, and I love it.
Yeah, into your point with the everywhere and thiswhere, that's one of the greatest things, and why I got turned on to like Japanese hardcore and that sort of thing was it was removed. It was like the Gauze and all these other bands. There wasn't this blueprint of things to do. So
Right.
and over the course of time, when all these not smaller, but markets that are like here, there, and everywhere, it just opened the pool to create, like, like we were talking about. You got a little bit of power ballads, you got some grindcore, there's some screechy hardcore, and everyone's free and easy to pick and pull from. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about New York back in the day was, you could play with anyone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think the musicianship of this band as well is just top notch. Chris does an amazing job with those guitar riffs, and their lyrics are really well thought out and intelligent. So they've got a great message.
Yeah, the singer's an architect.
Yeah, they all have like these pretty impressive,
Robert Hogg says he saw them in Glasgow and they were brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're out there.
Yeah.
So the singer's an architect, and she said she wanted, like, I guess in her brain, how she conceptualizes it is like each song is like a room in your mind, and they do, like, I was reading about them, and they kind of go deep into every topic. So if they're going to write about like a song, like they research everything about that topic, and like each room supposedly contains like symbolic objects of ideas, private and public and unconscious and unknowable, and they're really deep and layered with their lyrics. I think they're pretty fucking cool.
Absolutely.
Right on. Good one. And who would have thunk it from Western Mass?
Right here in my own backyard. I know, it's fantastic. They've got they had an album out at the end of the year last year called Memory Theater, and it's a killer album. Check it out wherever you stream music or get the physical copy. And speaking of really nice album covers, their album cover is gorgeous. The artwork on it is
their album cover is sick.
Yeah,
like it's really
put on a t-shirt.
Check it out.
Yeah,
they put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Gina. Thank you, Lori. And
thank you.
Enjoy
it.
I
know we're not going to see you on Sunday because you're doing.
We're camping.
You're camping.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Vero and Laura from Riot Squad Media putting on the Camp Pennsylvania. Like 50 plus bands, 3 stages. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're super excited about this. There's food. There's like a whole carnival on the side. It's really just about community and coming together, hanging out. We have special merch out there. We're super excited.
Killer.
And the weather looks perfect.
Yes, it does.
You
I just
get a
put
pass.
Balkan into
You
the
get a
seventies.
pass.
I'm so excited about
It's
that.
illegal. It's illegal to talk about the weather until the event's already happened.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
It's
Knock
like
on wood. Knock
tickets,
on wood.
Not the first thing I've done illegally.
man.
I'll see you guys in a bit. All right.
All right.
All right.
Take
Thanks
care.
for the pass, Drew.
Good luck with
We'll
your
see you
thing this
soon.
weekend, right?
Yeah, awesome. I'm enjoying
Thanks,
the show.
Kevin.
Cheers. Great to see you guys.
Cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think it's great, like how everything's spreading out. You know, I
mean, you have that perspective. I have that perspective. I was around in the first wave of American hardcore in the early '80s. You know, you were a pioneer in the grindcore thing. You have that perspective where, you know, when you first made the Virgin excursion, it was sort of, you know, you know, and now you're like, oh, here's a grindcore band from, you know, from this small town. Yeah.
You know, we did this tour back in '93 with this band from Japan called the Boredoms, and Texas band called Pain Teens, and everyone thought we were completely out of our minds, man, because, you know, we took that mentality and just kind of went everywhere with it in the States, you know, and but the thing that was really cool about doing such a diverse kind of tour is that, like, every night the local opener would just be like a grab bag of like whatever was going on. You know, I still remember the local opener in Buffalo, this band called A Public Hanging. They were nuts. You know, every punk rock dude ever was at that gig. Like, I met Rollins, I met the Journey dudes and all that stuff. They all came to one gig or the next. Jello Biafra, of course, was there, and blah, blah, blah. And one of those things that everyone says that they were there, but maybe not so many, you know, but you know, we were like, they were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't want to do like an earache tour. I don't necessarily, like, who cares to see like 4 AMREP bands in a row, man? You know?
Yeah. Well, interesting. You should bring that up. A part of the success we've had at the Bowery Electric is I put these bills together where it's not 5 hardcore bands or 5. Right? Who the fuck wants to see that? I don't. You know, It's like we want a hardcore band, a punk band, a drinking band. You know, I try to really mix it up, and then everyone brings their people, and everyone's like, "This is like the greatest," and it's like, yeah, who wants to sit through 5 hardcore bands? You know,
I don't know. I remember Brutal Truth did like one of those rock the vote kind of things at CB's, and I know that like Joey Ramone did a thing with Cheetah Chrome. You know, like, I don't remember what these bands are. And there was John Zorn was involved in it at some point. I think that Steve Martin might have had like a thing there too, like one of those bands that he was in for like 10 minutes and that sort of thing. But I really enjoyed that about those days in the late 80s, early 90s. Things were real froggy, man. You could do like whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep it moving.
Sure.
Why did Brutal Truth kind of take a break? You know, after Sounds of Animal Kingdom, and you know, why did you guys kind of step away from it for a bit? What was it? Did the hand just play out? Could you give us some perspective on that?
You know, we were touring like, you know, 8-10 months out of the year. You know, and, I was sleeping on couches and that sort of thing. There was frustrations within the band, and you know, I could be whatever and say differences and blah, 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 but that's not really what happened. You know, like we had issues with the guitar player, or I personally did, with the handlings of money and things like that. And, you know, that sort of thing. And it sort of put things on ice for a minute, you know, and, you know, it's not that, you know, we hold, I've learned over time not to hold any grudges on things. And, you know, there was, you know, the little spits and spites that you have when you're a kid, you know, and it seemed huge at the time. And you look back on it and you're just like, you know, you know, things happen.
Yeah. You know, I have to quote you, you know, a couple of great quotes. There's pure freedom in failure. I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that, bro. There's pure freedom in failure.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big believer in that. You know, like all of my music has gone in one direction to the next. You know, I've never duplicated a specific thing, and I attribute it to just, you know, finding a way of doing what I love without having what I love be what takes care of my bills.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not putting anything down towards people that are repetitive in their recordings and stuff like that. But I don't think that, like, for me, I look at this kind of music or hardcore or, you know, because like if you look back in the 80s, you know, all the hardcore, traditional hardcore bands, they all experimented and did different things. You know, we talked about the Discharge experiment, but all of them had them. You know, TSOL, SSD, you know, all those bands.
Yeah.
They all did different things. You know, you know, even like, let's say something like exploited horror epics and things. You know, you know, where they just kind of like, we're going to do something different. Yeah. But the reason why you're able to do that is you don't have this financial obligation to recreate something that, like, you know, I'm certain there's a bunch of people out there that want to hear Extreme Conditions Part 2, you know, but it won't happen from my mouth, but that's cool. I mean, I'm very happy with what I've done music wise. And, you know, you always look at recordings and think maybe I could have done this different or that different or whatever. But, like, you know, it's a life and you look at it over the story, and I'm quite happy.
Can we skip around a little bit?
Let's skip.
Yeah. Can you, let's talk about this band, this project, Primate.
Sure.
How did it come together? Who's in it? And, you know, just give us a little something on it.
Okay, so there's a couple of things in here. There was a band called The Despised. They were, you know, Atlanta hardcore. Dave, the guy on the right, I met him when we were kids. He's from Miami. He was 16 when we met, and he was in a band called The Despised with the drummer in the back, and he was also in a band with the dude all the way on the left, which is Mike Brennan. They were in a band called Autophobia. And then there's Bill from Mastodon to my right there. So I known Bill for a minute. We were really good friends. And we actually have a new band going right now. The couple of things, we're doing a Primate record right now. We're recording that in September. And then we're doing this thing called Stuns, which is Bill and Dave Whitty from Municipal Waste, and a dude named Bumpy from Palaces here in Atlanta. So yeah, that's sort of, we're sort of demoing and demoing again and demoing and stuff, and oh, look at that guy, Angry Monkey.
This was the first release, correct?
Yeah, we did it a long time ago, and it just kind of got iced out by schedules and stuff. You know, people got jobs, got married. You know how it is. Yeah. You know, you get this age, you have to diversify. You know what I mean? Have a bunch of bands. You want to stay busy doing music. Somebody
and in any band, you got to have a bunch of guys. Like I'm finding in this band, like, you know, you need to have like 3 drummers. Like, because everybody has, like, you know, the wife, the job. So you have to have 3 options for if you want to, you know. I've learned that, like, not everybody lives the lifestyle I lead these days. You know?
I don't recommend it.
Right. Robert Hogg says Primate for me are brilliant. What a record! And will you guys ever get back together?
Yeah. Like, you know, before everything shit the bed, we did a show back in January 6th, 2020. People remember these things, you know, and we were scheduled to do one again. And that's when everything shut down and life became less awesome.
Yeah, right. When Brutal Truth took a hiatus, did you is that when you did the Damage project? Or
yeah, dude, it was really it was kind of optimum, man, because like they were in Melbourne, and I could go down there and skip winter.
Ah, I see.
You know what I mean? I lived in Chicago, and it was less than appealing being in the winter, you know. And so you go down to Melbourne, and it was just like not winter. I recommend if you can find a way of escaping winter, it's great.
I like Matt Melnick. I saw that tour. I was tripping on shrooms, and Brutal Truth freaked me out, and I ran out of the Cat Club and went home. Listen, man, this ain't the Grateful Dead, man. I know you don't take fucking mushrooms and go to the Brutal Truth show.
You know, like that. I saw someone talking about this Houston show back in '98. I don't know whether this was it, but like the singer from the Pain Teens that we did that tour with had dosed me and didn't tell me. Dosed my drink and
that's fucked up, man.
Oh my God,
that's fucked up.
Yeah, that guy was upset. Look at him. He's super angry. But no, they came out and they were fire baton twirling during the beginning of the set, and her and her girlfriends.
Who does that, man? Who fucking doses somebody?
Wild Texas girls, man. The wild Texas girls.
I'd fuck somebody up if they dosed me. At this stage, I mean, I know that was a while ago, but like,
dude, I'm not. That's a bit much for me.
You want to hear a bit much? This girl once told me. She was a teacher's assistant. She told me she dosed a whole kindergarten class once.
You got to be kidding me.
Whole kindergarten class.
I don't know about that, son.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. She explained the whole thing. She was like, we did art together, and it was like she like
and I strangled you singularly. You know what? Like
I was like, I don't know about that.
Dude, I'm a parent. I'm not feeling that vibe.
Fuck, man. Dosed a whole kindergarten class. Oh,
Jesus.
You know, not to divert, but there's that culture, and I don't know how prevalent it is these days, but I'm going back a ways here. There was that culture of that West Coast, Humboldt County, San Francisco area. They were just trying to dose everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't even know what would happen if I dosed right now. It'd take like months to.
You and me both, man. That's not a door I want to reopen, man. I'm good.
I did it. It's okay. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it in that closet over there.
Yeah. So the damage, so Purified in Pain came out of that. Yeah.
Totally. And it came and went quickly. Still really good friends with the drummer. They had a revolving door for a bass player, and it was just like a situation where the guitar player was just unusual, we'll just say. But I got a lot of friends down in Melbourne. It's a beautiful place, and I highly recommend going and checking it out. If you have. Do
you get a chance to go down there? The past couple years with the band?
I did a tour with Lockup, and we went through there, and Japan as well. And, and I got a lot of friends there. I'm always trying to talk someone into fucking anteing up a plane ticket, you know?
Yeah, right.
But, go ahead.
After the the Damage project, Venomous Concept comes into focus.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
What was behind that? What was the impetus to get that going?
Well, Napalm was doing a tour. Napalm Death was doing a tour with, one of the circus tours with a bunch of bands.
Yeah. The new Titans on the block.
Yeah, the some and others in the blah blahs. Strapping young lad. I remember them being on and being good, but I don't remember much more than that. But I was in Chicago at the time, and they had a new driver that was supposed to come in. And their driver came in just super drunk, and they were like, "Yeah, what are you doing, Kevin? And like, you want to help us out here for a minute?" So I drove them around for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And they're old friends. We do, obviously, from back in the day when we used to tape trade and stuff. But so at any rate, like we ended up in Tampa, and we had the Tampa to Chicago drive. Whew.
That's what?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It was a horrible thing. I drove and I drove and I drove, and like Shane came back to hang out in Chicago, and we just started talking about all our old favorites and stuff, and it just kind of evolved from there. And I'd done some, like I said, the split with the Melvins, and I asked Buzz if he wanted to play on that record, And Mick Harris was going to play on it, and at the last minute he freaked out, and Danny Herrera stepped in on the drums and stuff, but recorded on the West Coast, and it went from there. It went just like that was sort of like the Swedish hardcore.
Is this retroactive abortion?
Yeah, it was more like this whole experiment with like shit that turned us on in the 80s. Like. This was like the Swedish hardcore record with a little bit of D beats and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. The Poison Apple ended up going a little bit more into like the New York hardcore stuff that we were into.
Right.
And it just sort of evolved that way. And we're at a point right now where we've just expanded it into like just a general category of stuff we listened to in the 80s and making songs out of it. That record we were talking about yesterday, the Good Chip Lollipop, that has like, that has some Husker Du stuff in it, so it's like it's going to be a little out of range for certain people,
but then again, Robert Hogg says the new Venomous Concept album is so diverse from the rest of your releases, such a quality album, really liking the sound of it. And you said, but I told you yesterday, like when in doing my homework for this show, I'm listening to your catalog, and I kept coming back to this. I love this record. I love the way it sounds. And so for me, it was incredibly accessible.
Yeah, and it means a lot to me because, when we're talking about how everything went upside down, everything shut down and stuff like that, my wife at the time, she had a chronic illness. So I was living in the basement and I was working alone, living alone. My brain was just unraveling and that sort of thing. And for some reason or another, we just said, fuck it, let's do a record. And I got on a plane. There was like 30 people on the plane coming over from, I came into Charles de Gaulle. And it was super freaking weird. I'm not going to lie. And I was supposed to sit.
And you were flying to Cambridge?
Well, I flew to Birmingham. That's where those dudes live.
Okay.
And we were gonna do some pre-production, blah blah blah, and really kind of figure out what we're gonna do to record this record. And
in other words, you're gonna go to the pub and drink.
No, the pub's not open, so we.
Oh yeah, right.
We did this really weird noise record called Visceral Collapse, and it was just like 26 minutes of just brain melting, whatever, and then we leave there and go essentially record like a pop record or something, Right. But that's the thing that I love about that band. Nothing's too well thought out, but it's reactionary or whatnot. But I did get to go and create in that storm where everyone was sitting around their house like losing their mind. I was able to leave the house, go over and record a record on my birthday. Like my birthday fell somewhere in my tracks there. And it was just very special. You look at all your records as important to you in some capacity, but like that one kind of saved my mind.
I love the timeline video from this record.
Yeah, right.
Yes. This crashes.
It's called Fail.
It's just I actually follow that on Instagram. Fail Army on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's
just put that somewhere in the mix there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's it. Here's it's interesting. Mike LaRoche says, I think it would be cool if Kevin did songs from all his bands at a show. I mean, I know we're sort of poking around here, but interesting concept. Has that ever crossed your mind?
No, that's a new one. Again, Venomous Concept is all about trying to figure out concepts and stuff. So yeah, right. I just. But there's all sorts of stuff like that Lockup record I did during the pandemic was totally brutal death metal stuff, So.
Was that Dregs of Hades?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it just, it was, again, something different. I've always followed the rule of thumb. Obviously I have a just ridiculous amount of records.
Yeah, right.
Ridiculous amount of records. This is my dining room. I like to eat, cook, and eat and listen to hardcore.
On vinyl.
On vinyl, man. Color me fucking lame.
Change the record.
I love it, man. You get up from the table and you lay around the table and everybody's passing the records around. It smells like childhood, man. So
that's great.
but at any rate, like you know, those were very difficult times for everyone who does music, man, and everyone went through their own. And I'm just sending blessings out to everyone who survived it musically and is still doing music, and you know, bless.
Yeah.
What's that?
Things took an interesting turn for me. The day after the pandemic started, I created this show, and the show found an incredible audience right away. And here we are a couple years later. But out of the ashes of that
Out of the ashes of ashes, man. But this is what we were talking about earlier. Like, had this not happened, how would my life would have looked?
Yeah, that's right.
What would it have looked like? I try and find blessings in everything, and
that's right.
And that record was a good gift. Now, did it sell well? No, totally not.
Right.
But essentially, Shane and I got to record the record we wanted to record. We got to let it sound the way we wanted it to sound, and we're at the point right now where we just record stuff, and then if someone wants to put it out, great. Otherwise, whatever. I mean, like, I'm not out to like turn the world on, light the world upside down, man.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Shane's coming on the show in a couple of weeks. He has his autobiographies out.
Yeah. I'm stoked for him. He's in a good place. He crawled into a dark world for a little bit, as we do, and he's
as we all do.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's doing really well for himself, and he's I went into darkness too, divorce and all that kind of stuff. Is a very messy life. It's not so easy.
Yeah.
And you just I guess another thing that I've learned to appreciate with that whole storm that just passed through was that like you get a good clear indication of who your friends are and who are looking out for you and your best interests and stuff like that. And that's another gift I'll give that the virus, is that like I know who stands with me, so to speak. You know what I mean? Solids are solids. I don't have the time.
It's one of those things, like I look at, like, there's post 9/11 and there's post pandemic. These are like watershed moments in our life.
Yeah. And we'll look back at it in the time, man. And I've recorded maybe 3 records during that, 3-4 records or something. I've recorded quite a bit. That's all you had,
That's all you could do, right?
Yeah. And but I was very grateful to be able to take a snapshot of that time. There's as tumultuous as it gets, but it was really nice to be able to put that down. The older you get, the harder it is to track down information, or retain it.
I know. While we're on the sort of Napalm Death, didn't you? And you're a multi-faceted and talented individual. Didn't you design one of their album covers?
No, I did some shirt art. Let me.
Wait, did you? I thought you did this. No.
No, I did not.
Write the liner notes for this?
No, I you know what I did? I did some art for that record, and it got rejected from the label because, it didn't.
My bad.
Fit. No, it just didn't fit within the of what they. That goes down to what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, they have, at a certain level, you're expected to produce something like that. So it was aesthetically out of what that label was interested in doing. So
I know one of the things that you were just out tour managing for Brujeria, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Was Shane playing bass on that?
No, Shane's been like, he came out and did a lockup show with us with me and Roskilde, like in Denmark.
Sure.
And then I went over and met my girlfriend over in Suffolk, met her family and that sort of thing. And then I went back out and met them in Prague, and that was mostly like Eastern stuff. We like went straight down from Prague up through Germany, Helsinki, down through the Baltics, Siberia. Not Siberia, but like Serbia.
Has that always been a bastion of support for you guys, for your bands? Is there for some reason I sort of interpret that like that area you guys would be beloved, like the old Brutal Truth stuff in the Eastern Bloc country.
Yeah, I mean, it connected a lot with turmoil, and a lot of those areas were in turmoil. I played Pula, Croatia back in '94, and you could hear the gunfire.
Wow.
And interesting when you say how certain things impact things. That particular show started this collective. I'll send you some pictures later on. But those guys played this place, and it was a spot, man. It's like a community kind of thing where they have artists in the buildings, and it's the gigs in the giant alley, and there's like 800 people checking out a gig, and it's all super DIY community stuff that all grew out of that. And it goes back to what we were talking about, like that period of time, like where if you did it, you had to really want to. And those kids were like sneaking out through gunfire to come see a show.
Wow.
So, those things were really cool. I mean, not cool, but cool, that like you could bring like, because, you talk about these kind of gigs, and it's like, we drove by the war. We were 20 clicks from the Ukraine coming down from Poland. And, we got kicked off the highway and had to run through small towns to like get to the Slovakia.
Who's navigating this?
That's what the tour manager's job is. Yeah.
Wow.
So, point A to point B, make sure you don't skip a gig. That's rule number one.
Yeah.
No, rule number one is no one dies.
Yeah. That's a big one.
That's a good one. Everyone gets
90s in the Balkans.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. I mean, there were times that like, I saw parts of history. I remember when I first met Shane, I was in the UK. They were doing a Grind Crusher tour. This was '89, and the wall fell, and everyone was like, "Oh, let's go to the wall. Let's go see what's going on." And nobody thought that there's no place to stay.
Right.
Everyone's in Berlin, wasted out of the.
Oh, we'll find a place.
There's no hotels. Are you kidding me? You do that kind of stuff when you're that age. You just don't even think. You just react.
Here's a photo. I like this photo. I still have. This is a good one. It's a good band photo right here.
Yeah, it's the best, man. Primate. Look at them, man. Not just a good-looking bunch of dudes, huh?
The International Cryptozoology. Where's that? Is that like
Portland? Dude, the guy who runs
Portland?
Yeah, this guy Lon who runs this place. He's a guru in the crypto community, man. It's like I'm certain somebody here online knows of this cryptozoology museum. And
my brother's a cinematographer, and he worked on finding Bigfoot for a couple years.
Yeah,
he was like out on the road doing Finding Bigfoot like relentlessly, and like
I have no idea. It's the only TV I can watch. I have zero attention span for TV, and it's just like, oh yeah, he's nesting, and there's sticks within.
What was that? Ooh. Did you hear that? Ooh. What's out there?
I know, man. That's I got records. I do that instead of TV.
Hey, let me take my last quick sponsor break here. We'll come back.
Sure.
We'll take some questions from around the world. Okay.
Right.
There you have it. This is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Kevin Sharp from Brutal Truth, Venomous Concept, Damaged, Lockup, and more. I want to mention a couple of things while we're at it, and get you. I know a lot of people in the beginning of the show were posting questions. Please repost your questions. Do that now. Couple of things. We are sponsored by blah, 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 and Upstate Records. Upstate Records is a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label. Founded in 2017, they broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation, and since then have churned out over 80 releases in their brief 5-year history. Out now are new releases by Mark Rizzo's band Revenge Beast, Carl from Earth Crisis' Freya, Fury 5, Angry Corpses, and a few more surprises in the works. Check them out and a whole lot more at www.upstaterecordsnewyork.com and use the code STONE10. That's STONE10 for 10% off. Last but not least, looking for extreme music? DTFM Vinyl has got you. Located at 13th Ave in Fargo, North Dakota, we have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore, metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the country at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be death to false metal. That said, you know, we have the big screening coming up a week from tomorrow. The Dick Dynamite screening is happening here in New York. Tickets are on sale. Let's take a peek at the pro.
The cult classic indie movie that's taking the world by storm finally gets its USA debut. Stone Films NYHC and the New York Hardcore Podcast proudly presents Dick Dynamite 1944. Featuring members of the Exploit, Biohazard, Gnostic Fright, Sleaford Mods, and many more. Vinny Stigma and Mike Gallo, Log Dahlia, Lars Fredrickson, Waddy Bucket, Billy Grazia Day, Nick Oliveri, Dick Valentine as Commander Eagles Kearney, Joey Z, and many more. Hosted by Drew Stone, including a Q&A with director Robbie Steve Davidson, as well as special cast member guests for one night only at the Nighthawk Cinema in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York. You'll explode when you see Dick Dynamite.
That's right. The Dick Dynamite screening is coming up a week from tomorrow in New York City. There are still some tickets left. Get up, get out, make it happen. I'm hosting the post-screening Q&A with the director Robbie Steve Davidson from The Exploited, Vinny Stigma, and a couple others. So everybody's welcome. Just buy a ticket. Buy a ticket. Come on through. What else? Oh, you know what? I didn't shout out a couple of new patrons. Let me do the right thing and shout out my new patrons: Evan O'Brien, Alan Sproul, Joseph Halleck, and Tim Horgan. Thank you for supporting the show. I could not do the show without your support. All you other fucking bums that watch the show for free, get off your ass and support it. Don't make me come looking for you. Don't make me send Dick Dynamite to look for you. So that said, any questions for our guest, Kevin Sharp? Please post them now. Let's bring him back on. Hey, man.
That movie looks great, man. I mean, I'm down for anything that Stigma's mugging in. That's totally cool.
you know, I had somehow it came on my radar screen, and the guy who directed it is the guy who played guitar in the Exploited, right? So I had him on the show, and we really connected. And I watched.
Hang on a second, Drew. This is Scott Lewis right there, right?
Hold on, Scott Lewis. Hey, Scott, what's up?
Okay, you guys need to know each other. He does stuff out in Pittsburgh. He was the original drummer. He's the original drummer. Hey, love you too, buddy. He does film stuff. He does like a lot of horror and stuff like that out there. So
let's connect, Scott.
Yeah, you got that, Scott?
Yeah. Yo.
And there's shit, Scott Lewis. What's up? Maddie. Here I am. Drew, where are you at?
And here I am.
What happened, man? Did we run over time?
Oh, there you are. Now, sometimes weird shit happens.
Try and hook up with Scott, man. He's a legend. He's totally cool.
I will do that. let's take some questions. Let's see what we got here. Antisocial asks, first grindcore band ever in your opinion, Blood or Repulsion?
It's going to be Repulsion. Repulsion goes back to the concept of happy accidents. You know, one day I was talking to Scott, the bass player for Repulsion, and I was like, "Where'd you get that bass sound?" And it was like they accidentally erased the main bass track, and they didn't have the money to re-record. So the actual track is the scratch bass track, and that's what all grindcore stems from. Grindcore comes from the bass, not the tempo. You know, so that's going to be my answer. There you go.
Okay. RS70 asks, is there a band you wanted to see live but never got to? I guess you know what. Let's widen that. Like, if there's anybody you could just going into the time machine or whatever, anybody you wish you could have seen, even going back to whenever, anybody that you know.
Like you know, I wish it's going to sound whatever, but I wish I could have seen like the original Dead Kennedys. I never got that one. You know, metal wise, I don't know. I maybe Sodom back in the day.
Oh wow!
Which was like one of the first really brutal metal bands that I got into. You know, I just thought it was just like, because it was like Motorhead with a meat grinder thrown on it, man. I was like, you know, coming from where I came from, that was ideal.
Is this Larry Kelly asks, whatever happened to Paul from the Metroplex?
You know what? He sort of dropped out. I was friends with him and Reed Mullen. Who's this?
This is a friend of ours here, Larry Kelly.
Oh, okay. So Paul kind of dropped out. He was, like I said, he was. You don't really hear much of him in Atlanta. I think he's in Jamaica, to be quite honest. It's the last I heard was from Reed Mullen that he was you know, down in Jamaica, but you know that Reed Mullen passed a handful of 3 years now, but yeah, I think he's in Jamaica now. You know, he's you know, after the Metroplex burned down, he kind of just scattered. He used to look after HR. Would be the connection in this world. Is it like he was the manager? He was his manager for a minute.
Got it. Here's a great one from Gary Olfert. Hi, Kevin. A few vinyl junkies here too. Nice collection. Any gems in there? Anything nice you could grab quickly and share with us? Good question, bro. That's a good one. Let's see what he comes up with. Let's see. Take your time, bro.
Fuck, man. Hang on.
Yeah, it's okay. We're good.
Hang on. This is worth it. I'm telling you, man.
Yep. Hang in there. He's digging deep.
I am.
Yeah. Do show and tell. You know.
Oh, never an answer.
What else? Here. Wait, as you get it together, I'll do a quick thing. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll do hold on. All right, here we go. What do you got? What's that, NWA test pressing?
Yes, it is.
Wow. How the fuck you get an NWA test pressing?
There you go, man.
Wow. Is that which record is that?
Straight out of Compton.
Straight out of Compton. Wow.
So
he's gonna put it on. Wow.
Here we go.
Wow.
Here we go.
Hit me. All right, I had to mute you before the show gets copyright violated.
Sick. Records are awesome, man.
It's a dance party now. Yeah.
Oh my God. Whatever, man. I mean, I've collected all sorts of music. So
yeah. That's a good one. Doug Masters asks, and I know this is tough, man. It's like, which one of your kids is the favorite? But what Brutal Truth record is your favorite? I don't know if that's a fair question to ask, but is it,
They're all different points of reference.
Yeah.
And they all, have memories, but I'm going to say that like Need to Control, because it was kind of the first record that we kind of took control of as a band, I mean, and we recorded a really strange record that altered things, the bands felt comfortable doing different stuff, so if you can make an impact, I mean, at the time, like when that record came out, everyone was just like, what the fuck, man, what is this? They were expecting something and it wasn't what they were expecting. But if I can say that my gift towards music is just to kind of stretch, take your records you dig and see what happens with them.
Heggs asks, what was the wildest show you played?
Oh man.
Did you ever play one of those, like, we played this squat in Italy and like the cops came and like tear gassed everybody?
Well, I mean, it was not far from it. Like you said Italy, and I name a country and I'll tell you the crazy story. Italy, we were playing this place that was like, up in the mountains, up near Austria and, Eastern Europe and that sort of thing. And it was an outdoor gig. And we're up there doing our thing, and then all of a sudden, Italian cops come out on the stage and shut down the gig. And you're just like, really? We're escalated, right? I mean, this means, when they ask you to stop playing at gunpoint, that's when you know that you've really impacted things.
It's like, it's like Pink Floyd, The Wall, like.
Yeah, totally. I've seen it and done it, man.
Yeah.
One other show that I'll mention that was hilarious. We were doing this film noise gig in Switzerland, and we were playing, and Switzerland's like one of those places that has noise laws and stuff like that.
Right. And there's someone there with the meter the whole time, right?
Totally. And you're getting paid for it by the government, right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah. They're paying the fee, right? We got fined twice in that gig for noise complaints. And technically Switzerland paid for the fines. You get what I'm saying? It's just like, that guy, look at him. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
John Waters was at that gig. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Like when you're sitting there getting ready for your gig and you turn to the left and John Waters is sitting at a picnic table with you.
That's funny.
Yeah. Right.
It reminds me of, I'm working the new chapter, the New York hardcore book from the 90s. And Steve Whale from The Business is talking about playing CBs, and he was chatting up Liv Tyler. And the tour manager was trying to get him to play, and he knew as soon as he walked away and got on stage to play, by the time he was off an hour and a half later, she'd be long gone. And sure enough, he gets up there, he walks away from Liv Tyler, who he was having this incredibly engaging conversation with, only to play a business show, and got off stage an hour and a half later, and she was long gone.
Yeah, the fish that get away.
There you go. How about Ramon asks, who designed the Pork Farm T-shirt? My favorite shirt.
Oh, that's gonna be John Breedlove. He was part of that whole. He was in that clique with Disassociate in that world. He came from that world. He was one of my dear friends we used to bar crawl with constantly. I actually spoke to him last night. He lives in Shreveport. And he's like a kingpin down there in Shreveport. That's his name.
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Shreveport, Louisiana. He's a t-shirt printer and still at what he does. So if everybody, Melnick knows John.
Doug Master says Kevin Sharp is my idol. Great episode. Love Brutal Truth. Sounds of the Animal Kingdom is arguably the greatest grindcore album ever. Oh, that's nice.
I appreciate the kind words.
That's nice.
It is.
Let's see. Okay, what is this? GXH, great interview. Had the privilege of seeing Brutal Truth in East LA years ago. Any thoughts on Obscene Extreme Festival? Cheers.
Obscene Extreme is going to be like in Prague. That's actually where I started with the Brujeria tour over there. It's like it's a freak scene, you know, a mixed culture of hardcore and grindcore and all that, and it's one of the better festivals just to be yourself at. It's not uncommon to see a dude walking around in a banana suit, you know, just like, or someone just walking around full nude, you know, like they just don't. There's no rules. It's just as long as you're not hurting anyone, it's totally cool. So clearly, I have very many stories, but that there's I've been there a few times. We're just gonna keep those tucked away in the Vegas pocket.
Obscene Extreme videos are the best. This is news to me. I have to check this out.
No, you got it. It's you know, it's a beautiful story. No, it's really weird because we were talking earlier. We played Prague back in 94, and that tour was legendary for that one as well. That's right when when the Czech Republic had flopped over from communism. Mm-hmm. So that show was impactful to a lot of people that went to that gig, and I remember meeting Chirby, who does the Obscene Extreme there, and 10 minutes after watching that gig, he decided to make a life out of it. And here he is years later, still doing the same festival on his own terms, very punk DIY kind of thing.
Yeah. Jonathan Limos Zaluya, can you talk about the influence of Desmond Morris on Sotak? I don't know. I don't know what the context of this is.
It sounds like the Animal Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I couldn't say. I thought.
Okay. So there's a couple of things going on. There was some Sun Ra stuff on that record. There was all sorts of strange things. That was a strange record, but apparently that's what I do.
Yeah. You mentioned being out with Brujeria. How did you get into tour managing? Who have you worked with? Is this something you enjoy doing?
Well, I mean, like I always did my bands,
You were always the guy. You were that guy.
I'm that guy at the t-shirt booth. I'm that guy who,
I'm that guy who books the hotels and does the whole bit. Well, of course you were in a band with Danny Lilker. You must have been that guy.
Are you kidding me? Like Dan Lilker, you want to know a fun fact about Dan Lilker? Think about this and just let it sit in your head for a minute. He cannot roll a joint.
Really?
See what I mean? Just let that bake in your head for a minute.
He's like an idiot savant.
Okay, so that night I got dosed in Houston. I watched him learn how to play the violin in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, I was out of my mind. And he was just he was plucking at the notes, and then he played with the bow for a minute, and then he was playing violin.
Wow. That says a lot, man.
Yeah, no, but he's gifted in that way for sure.
Yeah.
He's super gifted, I wish he would do more music, The world needs the world needs Lilker.
And that kind of segues into an obvious question, which I feel like I could almost answer for you, which is would Brutal Truth, ever play again? Is Brutal Truth ever going to play again? And I think I could kind of answer it and saying Danny Lilker is done, right?
He's, he went over and saw Brutal Assault at the festival and another festival in Czech Republic, so he can get on the plane.
Right.
But you know the lifestyle. Some people just get burnt on it. You know.
Yeah.
You know what? I would do one, and I would do one I would do one for Chirby at Obscene Extreme. He's turning 50 this year, so if Danny wanted to do a Brutal Truth show, I would do it, and under whatever the terms, whatever, you know, just because, you know, Chirby's from childhood, Dan's from childhood.
Sure.
It's you know, there's not a money figure on it.
And that said, guys like you and me, we have to keep the forward motion.
Yeah, you know,
and that's where it's at.
That's part of the tour managing thing and the merch thing and stuff like that. I went through, you know, I raised a family, you know, my daughter's turned 18. I can spend more of my energy doing things. Yeah. I love you too, Scott. Yeah. So, I mean, all my friends live elsewhere. So, for me, going out on the road is critical to my mental health. You know, I know people all over the planet. You know, I grew up in that world, so it's
you still enjoy doing it even as a tour manager. Now, I find
absolutely
the road fucks with me sometimes. It fucks me up. The road fucks me up sometimes. It does. Like, you know,
it's got to be somewhat bipolar if you're still in it, you know?
Well, yeah, like through the prism, sometimes it's glorious, and sometimes it you know, when I can be out on the road and it could crush me. Sometimes, like when I'm out there, it like just makes me question my whole existence.
The thing to keep a healthy mind, and especially if you're tour managing or that kind of thing, is that, like, you know, at this point in our time, man, everyone's been through like a arsenal of whatever, and at any given point, you have to allow them the freak out. You know what I mean? It happens. It happens. You know, your brain melts down over the stupidest things.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, if you've done it for a certain amount of time, you give people their space to have their meltdowns and stuff. So that's the key to surviving out on tours. Don't get caught up over French fries, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one. You know, I guess what I'm saying for me too is, like, when I'm out there and I see the blink of the white lines, like, it sort of hypnotizes me, and I choose to reflect on my life a lot of that kind of stuff, and it just sometimes
you don't want to remember.
No, you know, like, I want to go home.
No, that's great, man. You know, I mean, I look at it like, no one ever walks with possessions, you know, unless they bury me with this sweet little white vinyl here. But but no, and I mean, like, nobody ever walks with it. You walk with the stories that you lived, you know. And my biggest advice to anyone who asks this, that, or the other is, like, you have like X amount of time here to make shit happen. You know, and you're being given these guidelines that you go to school for X amount, then you work for X amount, and then the last 10 years of your life, you ride the pain while you're quote unquote free to fucking live. You know, find something you enjoy, chase it, hold on to it for dear life, man. You know, because, like, you know, I'm blessed for the life that I've stumbled into, and I'm very grateful for the people that I know and the life that I lived. And it's super cool that, you know, to do this with you now and reflect on something we did back in '94 is fucking great. You know, I mean, you know, these are the great things in life, you know?
Absolutely.
Who's that guy? Super angry guy.
Antisocial asks, how did you end up working with John Zorn?
God, hell, I don't even know. You know, he's got a birthday coming up. I was talking to Mike Patton. He's going to do something. It's like a Cobra thing. Yeah, I did all this.
They're playing here coming up. I think next week those guys are in town.
What is it, Mr. Bungle or
Bungle thing? Yeah.
He did. Okay, so there was that band, the Boredoms, that I was talking about, the Amatsuka Eye, the singer of that band, Mike Patton, and I just sort of rotated in and out of John Zorn's color palette, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. He does a thing called Cobra, which he cues the musicians with cards and stuff like that, and that's coming up soon. And I know Mike's doing electronics for that. So, yeah, John, I don't know. I stumbled across him, but he turned me on to so many things. He helped me out 100%. Probably still in it because of things that he said to me. Like he, when I was struggling with things in the early days of Brutal Truth, he was like, you kind of really just need to focus on the music, because you can get yourself wrapped up in all the business and all the noise around it. And it'll distort and corrupt the thing that you love the most. So, so I stayed in it until the storms passed because of John. And, he's a great guy, man.
Matt Melnick, of course, asks about Tower Records. So Matt, so I did not know you worked at Tower on 4th Street.
Gary Muttley worked there too.
Oh, no shit.
Dude, everybody worked there, dude. Are you kidding me?
Muttley from I'm drawing a blank. Gary Muttley from not Dead Blowhammer, Sandwich, Billy Club Sandwich.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So like everyone rolled through that shop at some point. It was for derelicts, man. It's the only place that you could get arrested for smoking weed around the corner and still have a job later on,
Right. Here, I got it.
So,
I got a picture.
What?
Of the infamous Tower Records on 4th Street, right?
Yeah, man.
That's
Dude,
it.
All sorts of things there, man. It was always interesting. I remember Wesley Snipes was in there, and I was high on acid restocking CDs, right? Like when you're bored at work and you just got a pogue job, you just like do the dumbest things to entertain yourself. And I walk over and I'm pretending to upstock some CDs, and I ripped a big fat fart right by him and just got up and walked away. Amazing, man. Yeah, Matt could tell.
That place was popping for a couple years there, right?
Dude, it was wild. There was always something going on. I remember, the guys from the Wu-Tang were like kicked out of there because, they were kleptos. That's what they did. That was their high. They would go and steal CDs and stuff. They weren't allowed in. But I mean, you'd find people pissing in the children's section. It was just diabolical, the amount of insane shit that was going on. And there was always like crazy in-store gigs as well.
Yeah, and also the place was huge, and the volume of people that came through that door was like staggering.
Yeah, you can't imagine what it was like ringing in like during the holiday season. It was brutal, man. Like the size of the drawers were just quantum, Yeah. It's so wild when you think about like such a massive money-making machine all of a sudden absolutely shit the bed.
It is wild, and they're not the only one when you think about Blockbuster Video and things like that. And I trip on that with my dad, who's 90, who like when he would tell me stories about, radio, like they would all like, gather around the radio. And like, that was the pinnacle of technology. And here he is at 90. And it's just like, he's just looking at like, what's going on? What's happened in 80 years,
Yeah, and that said, real quick, before we get like off into whatever our own worlds and stuff like that, I'm going to beg everyone to go out and buy a record this week. Whatever it is, just go buy a freaking record, man.
Right on.
Spotify is going to make it so incredibly difficult for bands to operate. Everybody talks of troubles out on tour, but everyone's got their hand in bands' pockets, and if you don't support these bands, they won't be able to do the things you love, and that's a fact. You can talk about like Blockbuster or Tower Records and stuff like that. It's hard times, and support what you love. Find it on Spotify, but go buy it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And while we're here, let me ask you about touring, tour managing, and this merch thing, and how some venues try to get a good chunk of the merch and like what's your personal take on that whole like merch sort of drama?
Okay, let me give you a situation that you can understand. Okay, so you buy the shirt, you print the shirt, right? You pay VAT on the shirt. You get it shipped to wherever, right? Next thing you know, your shirt's costing like $12 with shipping and VAT, 12 to 13 euros or whatever. Yeah. We were in Sweden playing a festival. They wanted 30% for commission, and then you're to pay VAT on top of that.
Oh.
And then on top of it, they want to take VAT out of your fee as well. So at the end
for the uninitiated, explain VAT.
VAT is a tax system based on things, goods and services you buy within the EU.
Sure.
And and it's like 20%, 21% or something like that. And when you start to add up the math in those kind of situations, say, okay, you just raise the price of the shirt to cover the tax. Well, you're just raising. Okay, so instead of 21% on say 25 euros, 35 euros, they're still collecting more in taxes and vending fees and stuff like that.
It's a vicious cycle.
And it's like at the end of the day, if you take away, because like when the record industry basically gave away the whole download, Lars Ulrich had it right, that kind of thing. When they gave that all away, bands would go out and they would do records to go out and tour and make money. Well, after the pandemic, everyone's coming back trying to all your Live Nations and whatnot are trying to recoup their losses and things like that. So they're going back to that whole thing, and that's fucking the food source,
Right.
So it's you can ask any of your friends, Drew, they'll give you the same dialogue coming back from Europe. Europe is hard. We sold great numbers of people and shirts and stuff like that, and they barely came back with scratch,
That's crazy,
so
man.
it's like you got to really want it right now. But also, that said, a lot of people have these interpretations of what's going on with these bands from, say, the basement of their house or whatever, and they get on their internet and they start, they're probably getting super luxury hotels.
They have a lot of nerve.
They have a lot of nerve. They're just overspending and staying at a Holiday whatever and a Ramada this, that, and the other. And like you're staying in a squat, It's just like, like ideas of what's going on out there don't really relate to what the reality is over there. But it's hard to do now. You can't make mistakes.
There's no way to get around this VAT tax, right?
I've learned. Okay, so some side hustles I've learned is I've picked up merch companies that print everywhere in Europe, right? I eliminate the shipping.
Right.
Okay. You plan your tours to go
make it all local.
You plan your tours to dip into the eastern part that doesn't have VAT.
Right.
Like, say, for instance, I bought some shirts in Budapest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that currency you can't really take down to the bank and exchange. Mm-hmm. So in buying merchandise there, I could pay for it in local currency.
I see.
And not pay VAT. You have to be smart, and you have to think outside.
What happens in a situation like that if you're left with product after you just carry it with you? You could bring with you over the border, no problem?
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things that are weird. Like they have, if you're traveling in a van or something like that, you have weight issues. Certain places like Austria and that sort of thing. You can't carry merch through Switzerland. Switzerland is a big hard no. I've been busted there before, sneaking things across because you don't want to. It's a hassle or whatever.
Wow.
But
I haven't been on the road. I haven't been on the road like that in a while. I remember the old days where you like show up, and if they hassle you, you give them a shirt and they're good. You know?
Yeah, that was back before the EU. When you had currencies everywhere, it was a nightmare back then.
Like, oh, who are you guys? We're so and so. You want a shirt? Yeah, great.
Oh,
hey, move along.
It still exists in Russia. Trust me. I went like when Brutal Truth was finally finishing up. We went over into St. Petersburg, and it was definitely exchange of materials to get in the country.
Right.
Just like the old days.
That's fucking funny. That's great. Well, that said, hey, that was a lot of fun, bro. And,
it was, man. I'm just great getting caught up and remembering some things, man.
Yeah, and just it was fun bouncing the ball back and forth and having a couple laughs, because I think in the end that is the true currency that we have in this, right?
Oh, yeah, and it goes to like, you don't walk with this earth with NWA records, man. You just got to have to live that story. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Anybody you want to thank, a shout out on the way out?
I want to thank Scott Lewis for dropping in and saying hello, and Matt and some of my old friends and that sort of thing. I appreciate everyone who checked out the show and stuff like that. And like I said, if you could just buy some records, any records, go out and do it, support what you love, man, because, they got to find a way of doing it,
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, let's keep in touch. And,
tell your cousin I said hello, or he was here earlier. Tell Alan he's still here.
For sure. And, when I'll catch up with you when you're out on the road again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Take care, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye.
Well, there you have it. Kevin Sharp, ladies and gentlemen. What a great show. And thank you all so much for watching. I love doing this show, and I'm really grateful to have all you people watching around the world. And thank you so much. Grind on, Kevin. Absolutely. What a treat. Number 300 is one show closer. I know people are asking about show 300. Hey, there he is. Dubin's there. Hey, Dub, you watched the whole show. That's awesome. Thank you. That's great, man. Dub, I got to send you the Biohazard trailer. I need you to take a look at it. I need you to sprinkle. I need you to Dubinize it. Sprinkle the Dubin dust on it. I got the first draft of the Biohazard trailer. So, yeah, I'll send it to you. It needs work, but I got the first draft. So there you go, man. Is that right, Matt? I met a ton of musicians at Tower and made my band from Tower. Which band? Disassociate? It was a Tower you were a Tower Records band? Is that right? Good. I'm glad the show makes your drive home very entertaining. I know a lot of people watch the show as they're traveling, as they're driving, as they're at work. Astoria Lou here in New York City, and everybody. Hey, however you watch the show, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thanks for supporting the show. Can you believe it? Episode 300 coming up soon. It's crazy. And so this is one of 2 or 3 times where there's not a show for a week and a half, because Sunday we have a Bowery Electric show. Wednesday I have the Dick Dynamite. We're doing scouting for Finders Keepers, my film. We're back on Sunday the 10th with the New Music Spotlight show. I'm doing it from Bridge 9 Records. Hey, you know what? If you're in a band and you have some new music coming out, and you want to talk about it, drop me a line. After that is the return of the Lunatic, Jack Grisham, on September 17th, talking about his documentary film Ignore Heroes, True Sounds of Liberty. Sunday, September 24th is the Rev from Winterwolf. Shane, as we talked about, from Napalm Death, is on October 1st. Ill Bill, co-hosted by Howie Abrams, on October 4th. Trevor from the American Werewolves on the October 15th. That said, yes, Jack is coming on. Thank you, Kevin. Yep. You know what? If you're going to watch anything while you're driving, watch my show. I know, a week and a half. I know, it's crazy, right? I think it's happened once or twice before. You know, these things. Yeah, Shane will be a great show. Absolutely. I got to get my hands on his book. I got to read his book before he comes on. Yes, Matt Melnick, buy LPs. You know. That said, thanks a lot, everybody. Maybe I'll see you at the Bowery on Sunday. If not, I'll see you back here a bit after that. Until then, do good things. And good things will come to you.